pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Jeff Renahan, First Ward.
Bill Carlos, Second Ward.
Michael Safone, Fourth Ward.
Stefan Krakauer, Fifth Ward.
Ann Schurshin, Sixth Ward.
Felicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
Jim Nelson, Attorney for the Town.
Sarah Ryan, Vandewater, Vandewater.
Is Jessica Lopez here? I didn't even, there's so many people.
I do not see
Okay,
him.
just checking. Thank you.
No. John Basley, Town Supervisor. Welcome, everybody. Tonight's agenda, first thing on the agenda is a public hearing, Cablevision of Wappingers Falls. Number 2 is a public hearing, motor vehicle service moratorium extension. Number 3 is a public hearing, Town Code Amendment, Chapter 210, adding vehicle fuel station floating overlay district. 4 is another public hearing, Town Code Amendment, Chapter 210, adding College University Conference Center use to the institutional conference district. 5, appoint Ashley Nunn as a police officer. 6, Klaus Kutz as a police officer. 7, Charles Parakis as a recreation leader. 8, set a date for a public hearing, Town Code Amendment towing law. 9, authorize a PK Go Pride Parade hosted by Dutchess Pride Center. 10, accept certificate of attendance, Carl Whitehead, Planning Board. 11, authorize the sale of a surplus vehicle to Ulster Community College. 12, set a date for a public hearing, adoption of the updated Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan. 13, set a date for a public hearing, property maintenance, 83 Marple Road Extension. 14, ratify approval of the Stratford Subdivision Public Improvements. 15, authorize the supervisor to sign Valley Christian Church stormwater and site distance easement agreements. 16, notification of following notice of claimant for the legal Geico versus the town. 17, special consents, SC1, sewer easement agreement, EFG Sabre and Culinary Institute. SC2, amend Town of Poughkeepsie Employee Handbook, donated sick leave. And at this point, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules for any item on the agenda except for the public hearings. As everybody knows, we do those individually.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody to discuss any item on the agenda?
See anybody too?
Wait, there's one.
Larry Trappell.
Mr. Trappell.
Larry, are you there? Did you just accidentally, did you want to speak about an agenda item?
Well, only at the end. I guess you're having that section at the end.
Okay. Anybody else would like to speak?
Doreen.
Doreen?
Yes, hi, this is Doreen Tignanelli. I just want to say that the info packet for the meeting can't be accessed. It's giving an error message. The error message says, oops, something went wrong. The file you tried to retrieve was not found in the file system of the site. So
You said it was fixed, huh?
the informational packet to follow along with is not out there.
Went to your browser to actually.
And so since I cannot see that at this point, I had a question about number 13, about the property maintenance for 83 Marple Road Extension.
Go ahead, Doreen.
Well, I'm not sure what that is. Can you just, I mean, I know this has been on the agenda in years past. And in 2015, a resolution was passed about this property. So I'm wondering what, what it is you're going to be voting on tonight here. I know it's a public hearing, but
Doreen, we're setting a date for a public hearing. We're reactivating this because it sat for such a long time, got stale. We thought just to make it totally legal, we're going to re-advertise and do it over. Because it's been years.
okay. And then Jay, can you just repeat what the special consent items were? You broke up a little bit when you were saying those.
Yes, special consent 1 is a sewer easement agreement with EFG Sabre and the Culinary Institute for the sewer line going through Hudson Heritage. And number 2 is to amend the Town of Poughkeepsie Employee Handbook, donated sick leave.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to mention Jessica Lopez is on. She had trouble finding the
Okay.
sign on, so she's on there.
Okay. So we have a full board tonight. All right, you have anybody else on there?
Is there anybody else that wants to speak about an agenda item other than the public hearings? If not, could you also please mute yourself?
If not, I'd like to make a motion to move number 5 and 6 to the beginning of the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Jeff?
Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Ashley Yanoni, hopefully I pronounced that right, to the position of full-time police officer under the provisions of the civil service law at the starting yearly salary of $56,727.76 effective June 21st, 2021, which appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 26 nor more than 52 weeks per civil service law. Be it further resolved that the supervisor is authorized to execute and file all documentation required by the Dutchess County Department of Human Resources in connection with this appointment. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Congratulations.
Good way to start. Congratulations.
Number 6, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Klaus Kutz to the position, did I say that right? To the position of full-time police officer under the provisions of the civil service law at the starting yearly salary of $56,727.76 effective June 28th, which appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 26 nor more than 52 weeks per civil service law, and be it further resolved that the supervisor is authorized to execute and file all documentation required by the Dutchess County Department of Human Resources in connection with this appointment. So moved.
Second.
Is there a motion and a second? Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Congratulations.
Susan, can you please mute yourself?
Good luck.
Thank you. Jim, who seconded number 5?
Pardon me?
Who seconded number 5?
Jeff.
It was Bill and Jeff.
I was second.
It was Bill and Jeff show.
Yeah.
Bill and Jeff.
The right end of the table.
Senior.
Jessica,
Yes, she is.
she's just on the next screen.
Thank you all for staying.
Yes.
They don't know about the parting gifts they're getting now.
That brings us to our first public hearing, Cablevision of Wappingers Falls, DBA Altice. I'd like to make a motion to open that public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn that public hearing until the 16th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Was anybody here wanting to speak on it at all, or
We were gonna take-
doubtful? Okay.
Brings us to public hearing number 2, Motor Vehicle Service Stations Moratorium Extension. Make a motion to open public hearing number 2.
So
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody here to discuss public hearing number 2? We have somebody.
Linda Wright, would you like to speak?
Go ahead, Mrs. Wright.
Linda, are you there? You have to unmute.
Unmute. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes,
go
I
ahead.
can.
Okay. One second, one second, one second.
When we ask anybody speaking, please hold it to 3 minutes.
Okay, first I want to, can you hear me? I'm Linda Wright. I live at 217 Overacker Road. First, I want to thank the board for the hard work on drafting the new law and that I am generally in support of this. I would like to see the distances increase between the two gas stations from 500 feet to 1,000 feet. And in addition to the fencing as a screen for adjoining residential properties, I would like to have a mandatory green buffer. If the filling station has an entrance and an exit on a major commercial thoroughfare, then there should not be exits onto the town streets. The 30,000 feet lot size seems too small. That lot size should be at least 1 acre. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wright.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak?
Yes, Linda Mack would like to speak.
Go ahead, Linda.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your efforts on the proposed changes to the code. I really appreciate this. And I, as the prior speaker said, I think gas stations should be at least 500 feet from residential areas and actually police stations, as they may need to be used as shelter in case there is an emergency. I agree that a fence is not an adequate buffer next to a house. I think it should be evergreen trees or something that is good screening all year long. And if a filling station has exits or entrances onto, they have it on a major highway, state or county road, they shouldn't be allowed to have exits onto town roads. Delivery trucks shouldn't be allowed to use local roads that limit commercial vehicles to local deliveries only. Putting a filling station in a residential area could subject them and larger trucks to use the streets to avoid traffic on the highways. And I also agree that 30,000 square feet isn't nearly enough for a filling station. That's only 0.6887 acres. When you have the large tankers delivering gas, I mean, how are they going to maneuver? And also, I don't think that there should be any more than 8 dispensers for a filling station, and that operations should be limited from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Thank you very much for your efforts.
Just to let people know.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, David. You might be.
No, thanks, guys. Just for the record, David Cooper of Zarin and Steinmetz, serving as special counsel on this matter and the next matter. I think what we could do is, because these comments, I think, are actually on agenda item number 3, which is the local law itself, or the draft local law itself, for people to comment on. Rather than having them repeat the comments again, I think we could just include those comments in the record for the next agenda item, and that way the record will.
I figured that.
Yeah, and David, my comment was going to be, if somebody's actually making comment for changes, please hold them to the next public hearing after this. Correct.
Does anybody else want to speak on the gas station moratorium
Extension.
Yes, I'd like to speak.
Go ahead, sir. What's your name?
Yeah, David Robertson. I live on 12 Jean Drive. First, I want to thank you all for listening. I agree with your draft. However, I'd like to suggest one tweak. If we could limit these gas stations to 8 pumps. This town is too small for mega gas stations. Mega gas stations are for highways. Thank you very much for listening, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Doreen?
Yes, I'd just like to say that I am in favor of extending the moratorium for the 90 days through September 3rd, 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Doreen.
Jim G. Jim Greaves? Jim,
Yeah, I am Jim Greaves. 215 Overrock Road. I just want to say I'm in favor of extending the moratorium until September 3rd. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yep, another iPhone.
Excuse me, Linda Mack would like to speak on behalf of a neighbor who isn't feeling well tonight.
And who is that, Linda?
Amy Aguirre, Aguirre. She is my next door neighbor, and she had dental surgery
Okay,
today.
go ahead.
And she is in a lot of pain, and she asked if I could just say
Go ahead, Linda.
briefly that she thanks you very much for your efforts and that she is in support of the new law. Thank
Okay,
you.
yep. And then there was Al Hobb on an iPhone somewhere out there.
Yes, this is Amy Hobson Aguirre. Linda Mack was just talking for me.
Oh.
Which, thank you, I am in pain. But I'm at 208 Over Rocker Road, and I also want to extend the moratorium. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Feel better.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Like to make a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Carlos?
Now, this is Resolution 2
Two.
that I'm going to
Correct.
read?
Yep.
Resolution number 2. Be it enacted by the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie pursuant to public hearings held on May 19th, 2021 and June 2nd, 2021 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, does hereby adopt as a local law an extension to a temporary town-wide moratorium on the development of motor vehicle service facilities that include a gasoline filling station or sell gasoline in the town of Poughkeepsie, which local law is attached hereto and incorporated herein. And the town board does hereby waive a verbatim reading of said local law and does direct that the local law be spread across the record as if it in fact had been read verbatim. Whereas the town board has previously declared this local law to be a Type 2 action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and its implementing regulations, New York NYCRR Part 617.5C sub 36 SECA, requiring no environmental review. And whereas by memorandum of May 24th, 2021, the Town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board has advised that it takes no position regarding the adoption of this proposed moratorium. And whereas in a written recommendation dated May 12, 2021, was received from the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development, stating that the proposed local law was a matter of local concern. And whereas the town clerk has notified the clerks of the surrounding municipalities of the public hearing pursuant to General Municipal Law 239NN. And whereas the legal notice of this public hearing was posted on May 6, 2021, and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on May 9, 2021, now therefore be it enacted that this said local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. That brings us to public hearing number 3, adding vehicle fueling station floating overlay district. Make a motion to open public hearing number 3.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody here to discuss public hearing number 3? And we will take the comments that were made during public hearing number 2 and add them to this.
Doreen?
Yes, I'd like to say that I think that this overlay district is needed. I know I've said this before, and it's been said, in prior years. This was first discussed, I think, in 2011 or 2012. When you live in a residential neighborhood, you have an expectation that it's going to remain residential.
Oh, here, I can do it.
An encroachment by something like a gas station is just unacceptable to me. And back in 2012, there was a discussion by the town board as to whether 500 feet was adequate for noise, for lights, some safety issues. And I think since then, it's become apparent to many people that the distance requirement was not enough. And when you take into account the fact that the zoning board and the, basically you're at, the town board can make their decisions, but then it goes to the zoning board and they can give a variance. So 500 feet was not adequate when you consider the fact that the zoning board could change it. And, again, when you buy a house in a residential area, you're expecting to live in an area that's other houses and not some mega gas station. So I'm in support of raising the distance requirement, and I think you really need to do this to look out for town residents. Thank you.
Jim Greaves? Did he raise his hand?
Go ahead,
Good
Jim.
evening, I'm Jim Greaves again, and I still live at 215 Over Rocker Road. I want to thank the town board for their effort in putting together new codes for vehicle filling stations. I'd like to start by addressing some issues in the planning board memorandum. Number 4 brings up a valid point about the ambiguity in section B2C, the 500-foot distance from residential property. This distance should be measured from the VFS property line and not from the fuel dispensing locations as the planning board suggests. And here's why I think that. There was plenty of discussion when the 500-foot buffer rule was first enacted, whether this distance was adequate. But the planning board suggests will only decrease this buffer. The planning board suggestion doesn't solve the matter of ambiguity because the tanks could be located closer to the property line than the dispensers. The only way to ensure clarity is to measure from the VFS property line. If the intent is to create a true separation between the vehicle filling station and the residential property, then the impact must be considered in its totality. There are plenty of additional harmful impacts associated with vehicle filling stations, including lighting, noise, loitering, and many others. The only way to truly establish a buffer, which is the intent of the proposed zoning amendment, is to measure from the property lines. Number 9 on the planning board agenda, B2A in the proposed zoning change. The planning board makes the point about the minimum lot size and that such requirements in heavy industrial district will require a lot size of 4 acres, which is large. But if this language is removed, how long until the requirement is simply 30,000 square feet? 30,000 square feet is not appropriate and too small of a lot size for districts such as a business highway district. I feel that a lot size should be a minimum of 4,500 square feet or about an acre if that lot is located in a district that has town sewer. If a septic system is required, the minimum lot size should be increased to 5,500 square feet. Large trucks need to be able to move about in these congested lots. Green buffers should be mandatory along residential property lines. There should be a maximum of 8 dispensers per station, period. Exits should be limited to major roads and shouldn't be allowed on the town streets in a residential neighborhood. On roads where large commercial vehicles are prohibited except for local deliveries, trucks delivering to the vehicle filling station should be prohibited from these streets. Otherwise, gas tankers could be traveling through our neighborhood streets. Vehicle filling stations should be prohibited from within 500 foot of a school or daycare facility, 500 feet from an emergency facility, and the distance between gas stations, distance from gas station to gas station should be increased to 1,000 feet. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Anybody else have any comments on this particular item, number 3?
See anybody else, Tim? No? Right. If not, I'll make a motion to adjourn this public hearing to June 16th.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everybody, for their comments. Brings us to public hearing number 4, Town Code amended, Chapter 210, adding college, university, conference center use to institutional conference district. I make a motion to open this public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And ask everybody again to please keep their comments to approximately 3 minutes. Brian, you can go first.
Great, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, thank you so much for hearing this about Town Board. I'm really thankful to all of you for spending the amount of time. Oh, can you hear me? Oh,
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks again for hearing this. I really appreciate it after all the time we've spent on it and all the time you have spent on it, so thank you for a little bit more time today. I just wanted to begin with our project summary and some of the benefits to the town, and then Brian Swarthout is going to talk about the status of the project and the proposed zoning text amendment. Should just be a few minutes. So as you know, the Vassar Institute for the Liberal Arts will bring thought leaders, representatives from national foundations, local community leaders, faculty, and the public together to engage in important dialogue about pressing issues of our time that are relevant to this town and relevant to our time. It supports the value of the liberal arts education and provides 7,500 square feet for gathering and convening thought leaders and community members. The accessory inn and institute facilities support the institute programming and the town economically. So just a quick moment about the benefits to the town as we see them. First is employment. The project should bring about 150 construction jobs and then 45 ongoing jobs, service jobs and managerial jobs. Green space. We've conserved the lawn in front of Alumni House and have added some enhanced amenities for those who use it, like water and power hookups, vehicle access from Raymond, and improved drainage. The financial impact, I think, is also really good for the town. This is new property for taxation and will generate revenue. Vassar committed to an annual contribution to the Recreation Department as well to try to use that green space for all of us. Sustainability. It really puts us in a very special place with construction and operation of a building that's a resource for education and vocational training for the town and surrounding region about green engineering. How do you build a totally energy efficient building? And then, of course, tourism. Regional destination, I think this will become for all kinds of intellectual tourism and other people, foodies, et cetera, that would like to come to the town and enjoy this space more. So overall, we think it has a lot of benefits for the town and want to update you on the status of the project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Betsy.
Brian.
So this is part of the Institute project that's been before the planning board for over 2 years. So it's gone through a pretty thoughtful review. And during the April planning board, they did issue negative declarations and recommended this zoning text amendment. So it's gone through the environmental reviews that zoning text amendments need. And so if this board does grant the new zoning text amendment, we're ready to work with the planning board to get full approval and with the goal of getting going in the fall of 2021. So just briefly on this, I'm sure you've all been briefed on it, but just quickly, it is adding a new definition to the town code, a college and university conference center for activities that are consistent with the educational mission of college universities, which is what the Institute is about. There are a lot of controls around it, because it's subject to being on property owned by the college, consistent with those educational mission, walking distance to a town center, a maximum of 50 rooms, which can be open to the public. It can have a restaurant, which also can be open to the public. And it requires a special permit by the planning board. So there are a lot of controls around this too to try and manage how it gets used and where it can be used within the planning board. And again, that went through the environmental review of the planning board. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then I have a small list. First up to speak is a Jordan Valdina. Jordan, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Sure
Yes,
can.
go ahead.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi, Jordan Valdina, architect and engineer, principal of Synergy Design, Dutchess County resident as well, and a dad. And I say that because I've reviewed the submitted materials to date, and my primary concern is the sufficiency of the safety analysis of the intersection of Raymond and College and its vicinity. I presume everybody here is familiar with that intersection, and I would question whether any of us say that's an easy intersection for a person, an able-bodied adult, to safely and clearly get across. So I really want to highlight the need for some extra analysis beyond an intersection class, which I don't dispute the categorical technical classification, but every geographic and other intersection, literally in this case, but intersection of pedestrians, vehicles, and angles and speeds and local habits, etc., is a unique condition. And I would pose that more is needed very uniquely to this location to justify an intersection that I've experienced firsthand, as I would describe as unsafe, subjectively, but also technically, and also by record of literal incidents in that vicinity resulting in injury and in one case, a fatality that I'm aware of, and there might be more. So I'd like to press very strongly on that matter for that very specific reason. Some of the other points, I'm sure you've heard plenty, and they are very important, but I just put the life safety first beyond the altering the neighborhood character and some of the maybe further analysis that I think would be due to present that some of the alternative sites are literally not viable as opposed to not desirable from the perspective of the applicant and their interests, which is understandable, but is different than a comprehensive assessment of the community's best interest. And that's what I'd like to weigh in on. I'm complete.
Thank you.
Next, I have Neil Levinger, if that's how you say it. Sorry, Neil, are you there? Neil?
Yeah, hi, sorry, just unmuting here.
That's okay. I can't
Thank
see.
you so much. I wish to just say to the supporters of the commercial hotel project in the residential neighborhood, as part of the Arlington neighborhood and the Arlington Neighborhood Association, we fully agree with all of the benefits of having in an institute. We agree that it's a wonderful thing for Vassar to do. We strongly disagree with the proposed location, not only because it requires the destruction of a historic property, which the Town Historic Commission voted unanimously to recommend the preservation of, but also because of the destruction of the green space, which is such a centralized location for college students, for residents, for Boy Scouts, for arts, for church groups. It's really part of the fabric of our community, which the town board is enjoined to protect. Finally, I wish to, on the topic of the town board protecting the interest of the residents, I wish to draw your attention to a quote which was found in the most recent Poughkeepsie Journal article about the proposed commercial hotel from Mr. Swarthout, whom you heard from earlier, who said that they considered putting it across the street on the Vassar campus where the tennis courts are, but it was deemed to be a danger to the students. Now, how is it possible that something that's a danger to the students fits within an institutional zone in a residential neighborhood where young children play? I'm also speaking as a dad. I don't want the kind of traffic and the kind of people coming in and out literally in my backyard that a commercial hotel project and a restaurant hotel project is going to have. We're friends with people who live on College Avenue who have young children. Is it a danger to them or only to the college students who are legal adults in their dorms? I think Vassar, through its admission that this is a dangerous project, and again, go to the Poughkeepsie Journal article, that's what Mr. Swarthout said, you can ask him about it, is even more a reason for us to ask the town board to hold to its mission as stated in the town code in the proposed area that we're considering amending to protect the interests of the residents, not only the big institutional players, because we can have all of the benefits of the NN Institute if it's located away from where children play, away from where it's going to create more traffic dangers, away from the green space, which means so much to so many, and which will fundamentally change the character of the neighborhood in which so many have invested so much. Not just invest in terms of their houses, but in the ties of the neighborhood that will be disrupted by having a blatantly commercial project dumped into the middle of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I have Erica Dunn. Erica, are you
Good
there?
evening. Am I live? You can hear me, yes?
Yes, we can. I think.
Okay, thank you. I'm Erica Dunn. My husband is R. Leach, and we live at 7 Sunrise Lane in Poughkeepsie. And we wanted to, I'm speaking for him, he's in another meeting. We wanted to state that we are completely in favor of the Innan Institute being built. What we do have a problem with is the location. It seems like an absolute insult that with all of its open space on campus, Vassar decides to utilize the small area that is actually usable by the public and so important to the public. This is seemingly the last corner that we have where we can still bring in things like the farmer's market, where we still have public access without going onto campus and being questioned. We also have the opportunity to congregate there. We've done very often the winter festival down there. These are hallmarks of this community. And as an alum, I'm actually a little embarrassed and disappointed at this decision to go for this as the area being used. It seems like there are so many other options and opportunities, including the area, which is the North Lot and over by the tennis courts. And I agree with Mr. Levender, thank you, that if it's not safe for students, how is it safe for young children in the area? So I just want to make sure it's clear that we really do hold that area dear. That is not something we take lightly. That is not something that we are looking to just forfeit. And with so much green space of its own, perhaps Vassar would be willing to reconsider and utilize some of what it already has. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I have Susan Stevens. Susan, are you there? You can unmute. Give her another minute. Susan, are you there? Susan Stevens?
10 seconds.
Minutes.
We'll come back to you, Susan. Elena Collins?
Hi, can you hear me?
Sure.
Great. Elena Collins, town of Poughkeepsie resident. Like the other speakers, I am opposed to the zoning amendment. I'd like to think that Vassar College is a good neighbor in our town. We've talked a lot about the neighborhood this evening, and Vassar is a neighbor. And I would think that if Vassar were a good neighbor, the college would not wish to destroy the residential areas surrounding the campus. I urge Vassar and the town board to consider the negative impact that this change in zoning law would have on our neighborhood, on the residential areas adjoining the new construction. Some of the other speakers have already pointed it out, and I would second it as well, that the proposed construction would increase traffic, would increase noise, would increase congestion, would increase litter and waste production along Raymond and College Avenues. And residents will not be able to walk and drive safely and easily along these streets to and from their homes. This construction would turn a quiet, friendly, green neighborhood into a fast-paced commercial area, and no amount of speed bumps or center median plantings proposed by Vassar would bring back the neighborhood and the quality of life that was there. I urge the board to uphold its responsibility to preserve and protect the residential area that we are talking about tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Susan Stevens, are you ready to speak? I'm going to go to Thomas Hill. Thomas? Hi, Thomas, unmute.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Little louder, please.
Okay, I'll talk louder. Hello, my name is Thomas Hill. I live and vote in Ward 6 in Arlington, and I've worked at Vassar since 1986. I'm the art and architecture librarian here, and I also teach in the English department, and I also host an interview program on WVKR, which attempts to bridge academic and community interests. I've spoken in the past, back in December, on the importance of the cultural history instantiated in historic buildings, and in Williams House in particular. For Vassar, this history is what defines us. Williams expresses and documents the institution's progressive and feminist origins and essence. This progressivism is something that both Vassar and Poughkeepsie hold in common, and the town's own Historic Preservation Commission acknowledged this when it unanimously voted to give Williams historic preservation status. This shared cultural sensibility is one of the reasons people want to live in communities near academic institutions, I think. And then many of our own faculty are members of both, of course, the Vassar community and the town community also. Faculty spill across the divide between town and Gowan and provide a mediating presence between these somewhat diverse groups doing humanly what Williams and the Alumni House Green do in a spatial way. By demolishing Williams House and colonizing a green for what is essentially the vanity project of a single moneyed individual, the Vassar administration is effectively erasing a shared history and a living space that is a literal common ground between our communities. This is a project that seems almost designed to demolish community and demolish literal green space, ironically and cynically under the banner of community and so-called green architecture. We've been told this concrete history will be preserved on a website. Well, even if we were talking about printed history, this will be a history told from the point of view of the victors of this disagreement, the same trustworthy historians who have been comparing Williams to Confederate monuments and ghetto housing. And how do they imagine they'll characterize their own role in this history if Williams is indeed demolished? Not, I think, as the perpetrators of a cultural crime against the progressive legacy of our predecessors and our common community heritage. So I would urge the board against supporting this destructive act against the Arlington neighborhood by bowing to the pressure of the Vassar administration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Susan Stevens, I keep giving you a chance.
Hi, sorry.
That's okay.
I actually didn't have my hand raised to speak, but I'm happy to speak.
Oh, okay. You were on the chat list, it looked like, so.
Oh, well, I just responded to somebody's comment. First of all, I don't see the difference between a gas station and in an institute as a commercial endeavor located in a residential area. And I also think that the college has not been acting as a good neighbor. They're really quick to talk about community and how important it is to them, but at the same time, they have really disrespected the Arlington neighbors and the constituents of the town. As I've said before, presidents and administrators come and go. In my 42 years of affiliation with the college, I've known 5 presidents. And I feel that this is just, something, the way the college does this, that this could be successful in the short term, but over time the college will lose interest in it and not maintain the property the way it's done with other buildings on campus. And I think that the college has greater needs that they should be focusing on. And the town, I really feel that the town has a responsibility to the residents rather than to the institution. I think they've exaggerated the benefits to the community and how much access the community will have to the building. Running workshops for high school students on green architecture is pretty thin veil. But unfortunately, as I said in my remarks, that the brevity of the college's remarks make me feel that this is a fait accompli and that the board is complicit and has already made a decision. So I just wanted to be on the record as saying that I oppose the in an institute.
Thank you.
Thank you. Larry Trappell.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, okay. Well, let's see, I will echo the main reasons that many people have had about, first of all, the destruction of the Williams house is simply a sort of tragic treatment of that historic site. And then the disruption of all the people in the Arlington neighborhood is also something that's not necessary and is being done and is not fair to those people. And what's most puzzling is you have to get across Raymond Avenue in this proposed location. You have to make a crossing of Raymond Avenue, no matter which way you go. And we all know how busy it is there. And it'll be both slowing the traffic and also is a danger to people crossing the street. It's hard to understand why that would be considered acceptable when you have the perfectly better location off of down College View Avenue that's been proposed. And in that area, people would be both closer to the businesses and restaurants that are on College View, as well as already being on the campus, which is going to be their main reason to be at the hotel to begin with. So for all these reasons, it certainly doesn't make sense to not choose this existing alternative site. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's Baynard Bailey. Are you there?
Hi, thanks. My name's Baynard Bailey. I live on College Avenue. It does seem like the college has a lot of options other than the one they're pursuing right now. And my kids grew up on the street. They love to play where the farmers market is and stuff. And so I hate to see all that sort of get changed and increase the. Even though my kids are older now, I do still see lots of kids going up and down the street in strollers and bikes and things, and it seems like it might be a risk to them. But I think there've been some great points about the alternatives to either building the entrance on College Avenue or maybe finding a different location. So I hope the college can consider those. And I do like a lot of echo what many of my fellow residents have said about the college. It's one thing to say you value your community, another thing in terms of your actions and what you actually pursue. So nicely said too, Tom. I agree with everything you said. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Doreen?
Hi, this is Doreen Tignanelli. Back in 2018 at a town board meeting, I had expressed concern that I had read in the Vassar paper that they were going to build this inn hotel on the green space next to the alumni house. And I talked about it at the town board meeting, and the supervisor said he wasn't aware of any current plans, and that more than a year ago, a hotel was proposed in the area of the tennis court. So I am opposed to the current location of this site. I think that the tennis court area would be a better location for it. And again, it is encroaching into a neighborhood, and a hotel and a conference center is going to disrupt the character of the neighborhood. And at that time, I had also said that it was zoned institutional, and my interpretation of the valid uses for that district did not include an inn or a hotel. And at the time, I believe that in the beginning, they thought that it was an allowed use. But at any rate, at least 3 years later, we're in the spot where the town board has the opportunity to rezone or not rezone. And I'm guessing that it will be rezoned. But if you're going to do it under the guise of that it's going to benefit the community, I noticed that Mr. Swarthout, when he spoke tonight, he said that the 50 rooms can be open to the public and the restaurant can be open to the public. Well, there's a difference between can be open to the public and will be open to the public. So is the college going to commit to that or not? Or is this just a carrot they're dangling out there and then they're going to pull it away like Lucy pulling away the football from Charlie Brown? So anyway, I'm opposed to the project at that particular site, and I would like to see both the inn and the restaurant open to the public, since I'm certain it will be rezoned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bob Legacy?
Thank you. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of the Arlington Board of Directors for the Business District. I have spoken many times. I'm probably one of the few people that is in favor of this, but for the economic advantage of the business district, it is very important, because during the building of the Ennin Institute, there will be many jobs, construction jobs that will come in. And many of these people will spend money in the business district buying lunch and coffee, and the chance to come back after work, maybe with their families to visit. The Ennin Institute also bring in people from all over the world who may decide to come back here to visit after attending a conference. And God knows the conference center can be a great avenue for the whole community to come together to solve the problems like we are discussing tonight, or to talk about problems that make a difference in our community for a better tomorrow. We've also, in discussion with the college, that the lawn being re-irrigated and having water put in and electric would definitely benefit the farmers market, for especially expanding the amount of vendors who could come who rely on electricity or water. And having a new entrance also will benefit us, instead of going on College Avenue where we presently come in. For us, the green space, with an opportunity money given to the town to have activities there, is important to bring families in the college community together. And I see the Vassar Alumni Lawn, once renovated and reconfigured, to be a great asset to the business district and the town for bringing people together. And maybe it's a time for us to start building together for what we want the town of Poughkeepsie to be, a better place to live for all our families. And I believe the Ennin Institute does do that. It gives us that opportunity of a building that is going to bring in people from the world who may help us someday solve some of the problems that exist in our environment and our culture. I'm asking the town board tonight, on behalf of the board of directors for the Arlington bid, to please change to allow this zoning amendment to go forward. As our business district looks to revitalize in the years to come with the renovation of Main Street and the Arthur May School project, the anchor of the Ennin Institute in the south end of the lawn is just one step in the revitalization of Arlington for the years to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob.
Susan,
It's Lotnick.
Thank you, Susan. Go ahead.
So, hello, everyone. So I live on 162 College Avenue, which is literally right across from the project. I will open up my front door and I will see a giant parking lot if this goes through. And I have spoken now, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 times about how this is going to destroy the neighborhood. So I perhaps I don't want to say that again, because you've heard that. And you've heard my friends and neighbors speak much more eloquently tonight than I can probably going to do to the neighborhood. So I'm a teacher, I'm an English professor, so I thought I would like to address or pretend that the Town of Poughkeepsie board is my class. And if this was a class, what I would do, I would start the class by going to every board member and asking them where they live. And then I would ask them if any of their houses or apartments are next to a giant commercial hotel. And I'm pretty sure the answer will be no, because no one wants to live next to a giant commercial hotel. And that would be my little lesson for the day. I mean, you don't want to live next to a big commercial project. Why do you think the people on College Avenue and Fulton Avenue want to live next to a big commercial project? And that's all I'm going to say for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eve? Eve, are you there? You'd like to speak? Eve?
I'm sorry.
Oh, is that
Yes,
you?
I've spoken before. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Thanks, sorry. I would just like to speak as an art historian, someone interested in history and architecture, that I am deeply shameful that Vassar doesn't care about its past, about the women, the single women faculty who were given homes by a very perceptive and important donor in the year of 1921. And these were women who were leaders in their field, various academic fields, who were finally given the freedom and independence to practice their craft and live apart from the students in the dormitory before. As the college says, saving a few floorboards or roof tiles is rather meaningless. They will be forgotten, right? We have living history in an important building by prominent architects of their day in a European style with grace and a rustic charm. It maintains the character of the neighborhood there. We already have a hotel in Alumni House. What happened to that? We do have conference centers on the campus of Vassar, many auditorium and large lecture halls, but forget that. We could clearly place in an institute closer to the commercial center where it would not disrupt the community and the lives and the views of people who live in the neighborhood, as my colleague just said. So I am firmly opposed to this project as on its proposed site. What do we get from that? We get two ugly buildings, a motel that looks like a motel, over on Route 9, and a glass office box, right? That could be anywhere off of any highway exit. So I bemoan the loss of history and my institution's lack of concern for this and the kind of rush for a nondescript project that will bring congestion and will degrade the environment in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak that is out there?
Yes, I put it in the chat, Jennifer Burke. Oops, I didn't put it to everyone.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Thank you. My name is Jennifer Burke-Goldschmidt. I'm one of the coordinators of the Arlington Neighborhood Association. Today we submitted into the public record of the town board 900, close to 800 pages of testimony from the community, from experts and leaders across the local, regional, state, national, and international leaders in art, architecture, as well as hundreds of community members in Arlington. I want to tell you a quick story about what my son said to me a few weeks ago. He said, "Mom, I just have one question for you. Why would you ever live next to Vassar College?" I said to him, I only looked at houses to buy that were against Vassar College. There were only 3 streets I looked on because they backed up to a college, because I understood town law and United States law to define the institutional and educational districts as in the interest of the public good. And if you look at permitted special uses, there are things like hospitals, laboratories, libraries, offices, religious worship, and schools. And the hotel, I think in Sesame Street they say, one of these things is not like the other, does not belong on that list. This central parcel, its open green space, landscape, streetscape, and 6 Tudor buildings define this neighborhood and have been at the heart of it continuously for 100 years. And as Brian Swarthout said, this neighborhood is defined and grew around the character of this college. This parcel has been a community gathering space and a neighborhood green, 22 affordable housing units for 100 years. 1 acre in the backyard of a hotel is not conservation, it is destruction. Let's be clear, Vassar's builder surprised me in my backyard this week to try to talk me out of our position. And let's be clear, Bob Legacy literally threw me off the green for talking about preservation. And let's be clear, Vassar put safety risk to the student body in the alternatives analysis. And Brian Swarthout said to me, it has to be across Raymond Avenue, that's our red line. So there's nothing community oriented about this. And President Bradley, with all due respect, I wish you would stop saying that. Brian Swarthout put in writing to Mike Welty, for this project to be financially viable, we need the ability to use all time and space. May we reinsert the original language into the amendment, which is not there now. The facility may be open to the public as part of the college's outreach to the local community. That's not outreach, that's feasibility. Every single person here has told you we support your in an institute. Stop telling us why it's a great in an institute and use 1 or 2 of your 900 acres for it. You own, Vassar College, 10% of the land in the town of Poughkeepsie. You have $1.6 billion, 40 times the assets of the town. This is an abuse of power, and if you can't check yourselves, the town and Vassar will be checked on this. This will be the last time anything like this will ever happen if it's the end of my children and I. It's not okay. So The law, the amendment now says 4 times that it may be offered to the public. I'd also like to say that the town has $50 million, and the community, we have 4 digits in our budget. We have 4 digits, but the institutional use that we moved here for does not include a hotel. So the town does have laws that protect greenbelt and gateway and walkability and residential areas and historic landscapes as high priority. And I'd like to read one quote from the code before I stop. The code is written to protect residential areas and provide privacy for families by the preservation of such areas from, among others, the visual intrusion of non-residential uses and, wherever reasonable, the elimination of non-conforming uses which exert a deleterious effect on their surroundings. There are many developers in this town who do care about community. In fact, I believe the Arthur S. May area will be designed as Tudor in its outer walls to match the Tudor of Arlington, which you're tearing down. So I encourage Vassar College, who does not pay property taxes on their 900 acres, to please locate this in an institute in the business district along College View where it belongs. And your postscript that you need to put your admissions office there, I encourage you to do, because it would go very well with your hotel, and it would actually fill your hotel year round with people near the admissions office, near the restaurants, overlooking the beauty of this property. So please do not send your developers to my backyard to talk us out of our decisions and our wishes. 400 people submitted letters and testimony to the town of Poughkeepsie asking you not to change the law in this way. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Anybody else? If there's anybody else, if you want.
Luke Huntsberger.
Oh, did I miss you, Luke? Sorry about that. Go ahead.
I just want to say that I'm traveling. I'm in North Carolina. I've been driving for the last, I don't know how many hours. But this is important. I just want to echo everything that Jen just said, and that Neil said, and that Thomas said, and that Eve said, and that Susan said, that no one is against the Innan Institute. Well, some people are against the Innan Institute, but many people are for the Innan Institute. The economic advantages of the Innan Institute are fine for the community, but the location is not good. And the zoning text amendment is an example of spot zoning. The sole purpose of this text amendment is to give Vassar the ability to put the Innan Institute right there. That's it, nothing else. So I oppose this. Have opposed putting the Innan Institute on the green for 3 years, ever since the spring of 2018, and it would ruin the green, it would ruin the community, it would ruin the small-scale residential neighborhood, so I'm opposed entirely to putting it here. And the location along College View Ave, where they're going to put the admissions office, would be perfect for the Innan Institute. So, we've talked about this many, many times in front of the planning board, the zoning board, and the town board. And so I urge you strongly to reject this zoning text amendment, which the zoning board of appeals rejected initially anyway. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? And I see no one speaking up. I just want to mention that I did get something from the Arlington Neighborhood Association today. I also got a letter from you, Bob Legacy, but you spoke. And I also did get a zoning referral back from the county today. So I just wanted to mention that all, and that's all I have to say.
Sorry, there was one more letter from the traffic engineer that came in this afternoon as well to the town.
Must have been after 4. I didn't see that. Go ahead.
If they'd like to make a motion to close this public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I want to thank everybody for speaking tonight. The town board will go over the wealth of information they've received today, and we'll get back to when we're going to make a decision. Thank you, everybody.
So you're closing the public hearing and adjourning the vote?
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
To a specific meeting or undetermined?
No, give
Okay.
everybody a chance to look
Thank
it
you.
over and we'll come back.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Mr. Safone, on to number 7.
7.
Be it resolved, town board, town of
Can I
Poughkeepsie.
just say one thing quick? I'm sorry. I thought that Jessica was here. I don't believe she actually ended up signing on.
Okay.
I tried to reach out to her again, so the prior 4 resolution votes are going to be 6-0 at this point.
Okay.
Just wanted to mention that.
Thank you. All set.
7.
You got it? All right. Be it resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby appoint Charles Parakis to the position of Recreation Leader with the Town of Poughkeepsie at a salary of $58,000, which is subject to a probationary period of not less than 8 nor more than 26 weeks per civil service law effective June 7th, 2021, and be it further resolved that the supervisor or his designee is authorized to execute and file all documentation required by Dutch County Department of Human Resources in connection with this appointment. So moved.
Second. Motion second. Any questions?
Just welcome aboard. The Personnel Committee met with him and very impressed.
Yes. Moves the process. We interviewed 4 people, and this is our top contender who should be accepting the job. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie, having conducted a public hearing on April 21, 2021 at 7 p.m. to consider amendments to the Town Code, specifically the addition of Chapter 199 entitled Towing, does hereby withdraw and takes no action on said proposed amendment, and whereas the Town Board has received a further modified version of the proposed Chapter 199 entitled Towing, and whereas Chapter 199 Towing with those further modifications included is attached hereto and incorporated herein, and the Town Board is hereby waive a verbatim reading of said version and does direct that it be spread across the record as if it in fact was read verbatim. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board hereby sets a public hearing on the proposed local law amendment to the Town Code to add the next Chapter 199 towing for June 16, 2021 at 7 p.m. or soon thereafter as the matter may come to be heard in the Town Hall, 1 Over Rock Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. And 2, the Town Board, after reviewing the environmental assessment form Part 1 dated May 28, 2021, determines that the adoption of the next local law is an unlisted action for secret purposes as to which the Town Board will conduct an uncoordinated environmental review, and 3, that said local law, if adopted, shall take effect 20 days after filing with the Secretary of State or on such other date as may be designated in this local law as adopted. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Whereas the PKGO Pride Automobile Parade is scheduled for June 4th, 2021, beginning at 11:30 a.m. at the Duchess Center on Route 44 and traveling to and down Main Street to the City of Poughkeepsie line. And whereas the Duchess Pride Center has requested a town police department vehicle escort for this parade from the Duchess Center to the Poughkeepsie Town City line, which parade will not involve the closing of any town roads. Now therefore be resolved that the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department is authorized to provide a vehicle escort, provided that the DPC, provide an acceptable insurance certificate naming the Town of Poughkeepsie and its officers and employees as additional insured, and written confirmation that it will identify, defend, and hold harmless the Town of Poughkeepsie, its officers and employees from any and all liability, claims, loss, damages, and suits arising from or relating to the parade, and further provide that DPC shall procure any necessary consents from the owners of Duchess Center, the City of Poughkeepsie, the County of Dutchess, Main Street, the State of New York, Route 44, and from all other interested parties. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions on this one?
Yeah, I don't have their contact info, Jay, and that's Friday, so
I think
as
it's
far as getting the insurance.
Well, they have it there. I was asking about it. They have.
You do? Okay, because I usually get the parade forms, but I just got a phone call and then I don't know what happened after that, so.
Jim, what do you have as
You know,
the date on there?
we need to get an updated insurance certificate. Mr. Renahan asked a question, and the insurance certificate is outdated.
What do you have as the date on there? Does it have the date of the event on there? Because this says Friday. I don't think it's a Friday.
Well, it says June 4th.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I remember speaking to her a while back, but I don't have like an actual parade thing, so I don't have the contact info,
Right.
me personally, so. You have it?
Can we make it approval of pending that the insurance and everything comes to us before?
I'm sure it's fine.
Okay.
I just was kind of wondering if someone had the contact info so I could just make sure.
Actually, no, pardon me, yes,
We should make it pending
Yeah.
yes,
submission?
yes. I'm quite certain, though, that I saw the appropriate insurance certificate. The one which is attached here is one that you did previously for the Torah installation a couple of years ago, when folks were heading down Route 9 and
All right.
I forget exactly where. So if you want to adopt this, but with the understanding that the insurance needs to be in place.
It kind of says that right in the
That's correct.
resolution that it's.
Well, yeah, it did, but.
Yeah. Yeah, it says it in there. I wouldn't think you have to change it. I just was,
We'll just make sure.
Wait a
we
minute,
count.
I'm sorry, excuse me. The policy number is in there, I'm looking at the right one now, it's December 10th, 2020, through December 10th, 2021.
perfect. Thank you.
Pardon me.
That's okay.
That was easy.
Let's solve that problem.
Sorry to
Thanks,
create a
Jeff.
problem.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 6-0. Be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept the certificate of attendance for Carl Whitehead for attending the 4th Annual Hudson Valley Affordable Housing Summit, 2-day summit, total of 5 hours, presented by Pace Land Law Center, copy of which is attached. So moved.
Second?
Motion is second.
I have a question. If we don't accept these, like, why are these on our agenda? Like,
They have to do so much training a year, so it's to accept the training.
we have to accept the training as,
It shows that they've met their criteria.
we really have to do that?
I know they have to take it, I know it's statutory, I know there's something in the
Right.
town code, I'll see if the town,
If we
the
voted
town
this
board
down-
has to receive all
Right,
of
if we
it.
voted this down right now, would it change anything?
That's only if it fails.
I mean, I'm not.
It's a
that-
good question, because
just-
I know the Board of Assessment Review also does things, and we don't tend to do theirs, so it's a good
Yeah.
question.
I'm ready anytime.
Can you please mute yourself? Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, motion passes 6-0.
Be resolved that the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie, having received a communication from Auto Center Manager Brian Porter, does declare one 2017 Ford Explorer police vehicle to be surplus, and does hereby approve the sale of said vehicle to Ulster County Community College as follows: one 2017 Ford Explorer, VIN number 1FM5K 8ARGHGC 49008, mileage 155,228, for the price of $11,000. Be it further resolved that the town board does authorize the sale of said vehicle for the total sum of $11,000. And be it further resolved, this is a type 2 action under New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and it requires no environmental review. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 6-0.
Resolution number 12. Whereas an updated comprehensive emergency management plan, CEMP, are the initials, has been presented to the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie and is annexed here to Exhibit A, here too. Now therefore be it resolved that the CEMP shall be posted on both the Town of Poughkeepsie and Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department websites, with notice that further public input and comment will be received at the Town of Poughkeepsie Town Board meeting to be held in the Town Hall at 1 Overrock Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, on June 16th at 7 p.m., at which time said CEMP will be considered for ratification and adoption, or further amendment. Be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby determine that this is a Type 2 action involving the ongoing administration of the town and requires no environmental review. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on this one?
I just wanted to mention that it's being copied in the copy room, and so you guys don't have it exactly attached, but if you'd
It's
like to
coming.
pick it up before you leave tonight, it should be done by now.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I did
Officer-
email it to everybody as well, but it was quite lengthy, so I
Yeah.
didn't know if you wanted to print that out at your own home computers.
And Officer Farine over in the police department has been working on this for the last 2 years. And once he got it with Councilman Renahan's knowledge on emergency management, he's been reviewing it as we go through the
I
process.
looked at it, it looks,
Looks good.
it looked pretty good.
We made some changes, we updated it, and we brought it up to today's standards.
Good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Whereas the Building Department of the Town of Poughkeepsie pursuant to Town Code 71-5 submitted an unsafe building investigation report dated May 4th, 2021 to the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie regarding 83 Marple Road Extension, Town of Poughkeepsie, County of Dutchess, State of New York. Tax grid number 6162-20-972068. The premises, the owner of record being Zoological and Ecological Research Foundation Incorporated, 740 Stephanie Road, Easton, Connecticut, 06612, showing that the premises in the building on it are dangerous and unsafe to the general public, open at the doorways and windows, infested with insects and animals, accessible to and a haven for vagrants, trespassers, crime suspects, and illegal activity. And they are unsanitary and present a health, fire, and public health record hazard. Now therefore be it resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby waive a verbatim reading of the attached report and does hereby adopt said report and directs that they be spread across the record as if they in fact had been read verbatim. And be it further resolved that a public hearing on the order and notice, including the recovery, levy, and collection of town expenses as an ad valorem levy, will now be held before the Town Board on June 16, 2021 at 7 p.m. at Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. So moved.
Second.
Yeah, motion second. Any questions on this?
Yeah, I looked this up on Parcel Access today, and this is a taxable piece of property. They're not claiming to be a not-for-profit, and it's claiming they're taxable. Are they actually paying the taxes on this? Should this have not been seized? They really do pay the taxes
We
on
didn't
it?
seize it. It's not being seized.
It's not being seized?
No.
Do we know how, are the taxes up to date on it?
To the best of our knowledge, we've been ongoing maintaining this property for almost 10 years now.
Didn't he show up at one board meeting?
Many times.
They said they were
I
going to
can't
take
help
care
but
of
think
it.
and smile truthfully because
they said
Ed
that.
Decker, one of the neighbors, has come to Town Hall and spoken to my department and many others about this property for many years. May he rest in peace because he passed away recently, and I'm sure he's pushing this even from above.
Yeah, because this is in a regular neighborhood. The neighbors are very close to this. This should not be existing like it is.
There's got to be something to it as far as maybe that it is being paid, and I don't understand it all, but I understand.
My assumption is that the taxes are being paid. As the town has maintained the property, when those charges are not paid, they get added to the taxes. It's possible that it's behind in its taxes, but it is a taxable piece of property,
Yes.
which I believe happens to be owned by a not-for-profit that has an address in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And it has not been seized by the county, who would seize it after 3 years,
Yeah.
so it has not been seized in all these years.
But it
And-
is in very bad shape.
Yeah.
I remember when the guy was here, said they were going to take care of it.
I don't recall him saying.
I
he'd
did-
take
it
care.
was-
He's been
Oh, yeah.
into the building department
He's
numerous
been,
times.
he's been here a
Yeah.
couple times,
Yeah.
the owner, and then the neighbors as well
Yeah,
over the
and they-
years.
they-
For sale
both-
sign on it, sell it if you're not going to take care of it.
Yeah.
Somebody will buy it. It's a desirable neighborhood.
I'm not quite sure what the story is.
Yeah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie, upon recommendation of the Town Engineering Department and after consultation with the Town Highway Superintendent and other town departments, does hereby ratify the supervisor's acceptance of the water line and appurtenances for Bard Court in Stratford subdivision, and be it further resolved, after consideration of the water improvement acceptance and maintenance policies of the Dutchess County Department of Behavioral and Community Health, that the Town Board does hereby authorize the supervisor to, in the future, accept for dedication water lines and other bonded, insured, and properly constructed public improvements other than roads within approved subdivisions in the town of Poughkeepsie after consultation with the highway superintendent, the engineering department, and other involved town departments. And be it further resolved, the town board finds that this is a type 2 action requiring secret review because each of the subdivisions in question will have been the subject of all required secret reviews, and because its adoption is part of the ongoing administration of the town and involves no major reordering of priorities which may affect the environment. So moved.
Second.
Yeah, motion
Is this
second.
like part 1 specifically to a project and part 2 just a general allowing it?
Yeah, well, the Board of Health wants us now to accept some of the roads, the water lines, before the whole process is finished. You know, because what they've been doing over years, the developer came in, the developer started putting his water lines in. Those lines could be in under control of the developer for 5 or 6 years. They want us to accept them as the operator as we go through the process.
Okay.
And this has come about with some of these older developments like Stratford and There's another one out on 44 and one on Spafford Road
Cameron.
where some,
Okay.
okay, thank you. Yeah, where some of these have had lines already tested, things have been sat idle for years, so they want us to accept them now.
Okay, because on the agenda it says Stratford subdivision, but it's kind of more generic.
Yeah, this is where it started with Stratford being such an old
Okay.
subdivision.
All right.
It gives us a chance to accept like the water line before we get the road, because the road's not quite ready, or we're still going forward to accept them as we move along to make this process easier. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept the stormwater management facility inspection and maintenance easement in regard to the project known as Valley Christian Church, 657 Sheaf Road, and be further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to sign a stormwater management facility inspection and maintenance agreement, a site distance clearing easement and maintenance agreement, and any supporting document, recording documents in regard to the Valley Christian Church project in substantially the form attached, and be further resolved that such acceptance and authorization by the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie is subject to the approval of all final documents by the attorney to the town, planning board attorney, town engineer, and the director of municipal development for the Town of Poughkeepsie. So moved.
Second.
Is there a motion and a second? Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Number 16 is a notice of claim, Destasio versus the town. Number 17, be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby grant special consent to the following items to wit: 1, consent sewer easement agreement, EFG Sabre and the Culinary Institute of America. 2, amend the Town of Poughkeepsie Employee Handbook, donated sick leave, and be it further resolved that upon the objection of any member of the Town Board, an item may be removed from the list and voted on separately. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to endorse the town consent to a sewer easement agreement and any supporting and recording documents between EFG Sabre Heritage SC, LLC, and the Culinary Institute of America in substantially the form attached. And be it further resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie recognizes that the development of this site has been the subject of an extensive and completed secret review, which anticipated the provisions of municipal wastewater services, such that no additional secret review is required. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions on this one? The reason the culinary is mentioned, part of that line is part of theirs that's going into the property. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Special consent number 2, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby amend the Town of Poughkeepsie Employee Handbook as follows. Number 1, Section 818, donated sick leave policy, as set forth at length in the attachment A hereto, which was added by Resolution 919, Special Consent Number 2 of 2012, is deleted from the Employee Handbook effective upon adoption this day. And 2, the adoption of this policy is a Type 2 action requiring no seeker review. So moved.
We have a motion second. Any question on this one?
Yeah, why are we taking that away? Are we still allowing them to?
No, it was actually never put into the handbook when it was approved in 2012, and we weren't too impressed with some of the writing and how it was put in there. Yeah.
We are gonna rework that so somebody could donate some time.
We have to look at the policy to see how it works, because the way it works now is that it was sitting out there since 2012, and there was nothing in the, that was put in the handbook when it was approved 10 years ago.
I have a similar policy I work with. You have to have X amount of hours on the books, and you can only donate sick time.
Yeah.
So, but you have to have so much to, in
Yeah,
order to
we
do
have-
so, but,
We have to look at it and see where we're going to go forward with it.
okay, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Who seconded that? I'm sorry.
Stefan.
Okay, thank you.
That brings us to the end of our agenda. I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules for any item.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody like to discuss any item? Now is your turn.
Doreen?
So, I had a question about the town website. I know it was updated, and one of the really good things about the prior website was that you had a lot of archived meeting minutes out there, and it was just out there, and you could access it, and while the town clerk is always very accommodating, you didn't have to go through Felicia. You could just go out there and look at it. And now with the new website, all the archived meeting minutes are gone. I mean, I think they were back to like even 2015 or something, maybe even a little earlier, I'm not sure. But so if there's any way in the future that you could consider bringing back some of the archived materials, that would be really helpful.
Okay.
And also about going forward, in-person meetings versus Zoom meetings. I know there was discussion about this at the Poughkeepsie Joint Water Board meeting the other day, and a lot of people were saying, yes, it's time to get back to normal and resume in-person meetings. But getting back to normal doesn't have to mean discontinuing the Zoom portion of the meeting, because I do think it increases public participation where you don't have to be there in person. So to have the option of having people come to the town board or coming to the water board meeting, but yet also being able to participate through Zoom, I think would be helpful. So maybe you could consider that also.
Doreen, we're not changing at this time, and we will follow the guidance of the state, which is, prior to COVID, it wasn't allowed to do it this way. So we'll follow the guidance going through, and I happen to agree with you, it does make public participation a lot easier.
Yeah, because in person, you may get a handful of people, if that, and it does seem that there are more people viewing on Zoom. So that's good. And if going forward, also when you're discussing the rezoning of Vassar, could you please get a concrete yes or no answer, whether the public will be allowed to use the restaurant, to use the hotel? Because if they're saying it's for a public benefit, then they really should, I think, be truthful about it and say yes or no, not maybe or can. So that would be something. And then the last thing is that I don't understand what takes so long. This thing for the Marple Road extension. So in 2015, the board voted on a resolution saying that they had to remedy this unsafe building, and if not, it was going. The town was authorized to to demolish and remove the building if they had to. So that was in 2015. And at that point, Wayne Seashine from the building department had said this had been a problem over the last 10 years. So you're talking from 2005, this is 2021. So why does it take so long? And after the last resolution was passed in 2015, why wasn't anything done?
Doreen, they were working on it with him for a while, and then I don't know if he got ill or what, he disappeared for a while, but we're extremely cautious before you take a building down, because you want to make sure if you're going to take it down, everything's documented and taken care of, so we try to work with the homeowner as much as possible, and this one definitely has been sitting out there for years, and it came to our attention again, prior to COVID, another 2 years back, that it's time to wake this up and bring them in, because now it's different members. The member that was coming in before is no longer involved in this, so we have to start the process all over again.
Sure, I can see you want to be cautious, but 15 years is a long time to have neighbors put up with this. So,
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you. It is a long time. Anybody else? Mr. Ray.
Be resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby adjourn to executive session to consider the following: discussion regarding potential litigation for Altice, to discuss matters which are exempt under the open meeting law, including matters subject to attorney-client privilege. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Town board goes into executive session at
8:30.